Whenever you're ready, council.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, hold on for a second.
Morning. Morning, Agent Ipla. How you doing?
Good. Good morning, Counselor.
All right. So you remember you testified for about a lot of details during the course of this investigation for a few days now. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You recall me asking you questions about the 614 training as a unit.
I do.
Okay. And you have your significant events timeline behind you, correct?
I do.
And at that training, you testified previously that there was a speakerphone conversation. Is that right?
I did.
Speakerphone conversation with Adam Fox, right?
Yes,
Mr. Morrison was talking to Mr. Fox, is that right?
that's correct.
Dan was talking to Mr. Fox, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you previously testified that Mr. Bellar was there for the speakerphone conversation, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you go back and review any information
I
over
did.
the weekend?
I did. So over the weekend, I listened to some recordings and I had testified that Mr. Bellar was present for that phone call and that he had left early on 6/20, the following event, but it was actually opposite. I was mistaken. So Mr. Bellar was not present for that phone call on 6/14.
The speakerphone call with Mr. Fox?
Yes,
Right?
that's correct.
Okay. And then you said that on 6/20, we heard a clip where Mr. Bellar says, I'm gonna take off now, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you testified that he actually took off at that time?
That-
Left the location?
That's correct.
Okay. And you went back, you reviewed the recordings. What did you find?
So I found that he had taken off early on 6/14, but he had stayed and talked to Dan, CHS Dan and Ty Garvin in the parking lot after the 6/20.
And during that time, did he in fact say anything about anyone being crazy in the parking lot there after 6/20?
Not that I could hear on the audio.
Okay, thank you. You reviewed both of those audio, is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. All right, so we left off around at event number, let's see, it's event number 14, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that is what?
So that is the training in Munich on 6/28, June 28th, where Adam Fox attends.
Okay, who, where is it? That's in Munich, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and who attends that training?
Joe Morrison, Pete Musico, Paul Bellar, Adam Fox attends the training with his fiancee Amanda Keller. Then Adam Fox brings two other people, Sean Fix, who is XO or executive officer, and Sean Fix's wife, Amanda Fix.
And would you go to the chart of pictures and tell us what other Wolverine Watchmen members were there?
Sure. This chart or the other one?
That one.
All right, so at this training, we had Pete Musico, Joe Morrison, Ty Garvin, Paul Bellar, Gina Morrison. Dan Harris was there, Caleb Franks was there, CHS Dan was there.
Yeah, at this time, I would object to the foundation. If I'm correct, the recording, for whatever reason, wasn't recording. So what's his basis of knowledge for this? at this
I'll just
time?
ask the question, Judge.
Sure.
Do you know the people that came and left? Was there some sort of surveillance?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Alex Davidson was there, Solomon Clark was there. I believe Casey Mahan was there. Mike Dykstra was there. And that's all that I can recall. I did prepare a report on it.
Okay, so tell me if this was recorded at all.
Well, we attempted to record it, but we weren't able to.
Okay, when you say you attempted to record it, how?
So I provided Dan with a primary and a secondary recording device. The primary recording device was a cell phone. And at the beginning of the training, all the participants in the training were directed to remove their cell phones and put them in their cars. There were no cell phones that were allowed at the training.
What about the secondary device?
Secondary device was a little different. It has to be manually turned on by Dan, so I didn't have control of it. And when I received it back after the training, there was no recording on it. Tested it, I submitted it to a lab, and we weren't able to retrieve anything off of it, so it didn't work properly.
Now, you talked about primary and secondary recording, and I think you testified previously about how you kind of changed, instead of providing him one recorder, you provided him two. Why did you do that?
Well, that was based on the operational security. So we learned from the June 18th meeting with Adam Fox that he had tried to pat down Dan when he met him. He gave him a hug. And then as a result of the back shack, when they collected phones, we knew that their level of OPSEC was a lot greater than we anticipated. So we had to come up with something else to try and make sure we recorded it. So I added in the secondary recording device to try and capture whatever we could.
You've been an agent for 13 years, right?
That's correct.
Is it normal for you to give a source two recording devices?
This is the first time I've ever had to do that.
Did you attempt to live monitor the event?
I did.
How do you do that?
Well, I do that through the cell phone. So the primary recording device is a transmitter, and it transmits to me in my office.
And so at this time, though, the live transmitter in the cell phone, you said cell phones weren't allowed. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. But you do know that Mr. Fox came,
That's correct.
and you do know that he brought some people with him. Is that right?
That's correct.
During this training, so Dan attends, correct?
Correct.
After the training, do you debrief him?
I do.
Okay. And does anything he tells you change the course of your investigation or change your decision-making in the investigation?
Yes, it does.
Like what?
Talked about the resulting plans from Ohio, and how Barry Croft would be coming to Wisconsin and bringing explosives.
And how did that change how you had to deal with this investigation?
Well, moving forward, going into Wisconsin, I realized that we had multiple threat streams that were merging together, which was going to occur in Wisconsin.
When you say threat streams merging, what do you mean by that?
So I mean the investigation into Barry Croft, which was happening out of the FBI Baltimore office, and then the investigation into the Wolverine Watchman, which was happening out of the FBI Detroit office. And then the new investigation into Adam Fox, which was happening out of the FBI Grand Rapids office. All those subjects were going to be meeting in Cambria, Wisconsin to further their planning.
After training, did Mr. Musico communicate with Adam Fox?
Yes, he did.
Okay, can you bring up exhibit number 8 that's already been admitted and go to page 6, please? Sorry.
That is page 6.
Thank you very much. Okay. I'd like you to zoom in, please, on the right side of the page, the top box. Okay.
Excuse me.
What are we looking at here?
So this is a direct message between Pete Musico and Adam Fox, and it's from June 29th, 2020. Pete Musico states, "We rock and roll. You won't find another group that does what we do." Then Pete Musico stated, "The others are LARPers."
And explain to us again what LARPers are.
That's the live action role playing.
Thank you. You can take that down. After training, does Mr. Morrison talk to another leadership member, Dan Harris?
Yes, he does.
Okay, and is there a chat that reflects that?
Yes, there is.
Exhibit 147?
I have 147 here. And yes.
Can you
this
tell
is
us
it.
what that is?
Yes, this is a wire chat log from June 28th from the leadership chat.
Okay. I'm going to move for its admission, Judge.
Any objection?
No objection.
No
Standing
objection. 147 is admitted.
Okay, if you could put it up, if you could go to page 3. Sorry, one second. Okay, you can go to page 3. You can zoom in that. Okay, this is a conversation between, in a leadership chat, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, tell us what's happening here.
Joe Morrison stated, this is from June 28th. Good man, lot coming down the pipe possibly. Dan Harris asked, what you mean? Joe Morrison stated, like no shit stuff in Wisconsin possibly.
Is this in response to Mr. Harris asking, how'd it go today?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. After training on the 28th, does Adam Fox come back to the Munith property on July 4th?
Yes, he does.
Okay, and how do you know that?
I saw Facebook records, search warrant results, and that's part of the direct messages between Adam Fox and Joe Morrison. Joe provided his address and Adam Fox stated what he'd be bringing to the property for a meeting.
Did you have any coverage of this meeting?
No.
Why not?
Well, CHS Dan wasn't there. So meeting between the subjects individually, we had no way to obtain information about what happened.
So you have no idea what the purpose of this meeting is, correct?
That's correct.
Was Dan even invited to this meeting?
No, I didn't know about the meeting until after the case and we were reviewing the Facebook records.
Okay, thank you. Can you put up exhibit number 6, please, and go to page 5? And on the left side, if you could zoom into the box on the left. Is this from July 4th?
Yes,
Is this what you were talking about when looking at the Facebook records?
yes.
What are we seeing?
You've seen a Facebook phone call that lasted 33 seconds between Joe Morrison and Adam Fox. And then you're seeing Joe Morrison send Adam Fox his address on Dunn Road.
And could you go lower on the page there? And could you zoom in under the box?
This is further discussion about bringing beer and marijuana.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down. Okay, I'd like you to tell me who Mark is.
So Mark is an FBI undercover agent and his undercover persona, he was a janitor from the UP.
Okay, you have a pencil?
That's correct.
Okay, and how did he get involved in this case?
He reached out to Adam Fox on Facebook and then he met with Adam Fox in the basement of the back shack on July 3rd. And then ultimately he went with Adam Fox as an invitee of Adam Fox's group to Cambria, Wisconsin.
And at this point, Mark, we're gonna call him Undercover Mark, without using his last name right now. Undercover Mark is not part of your investigation, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, who is his primary focus?
Adam Fox, he's part of the FBI Grand Rapids investigation into Adam Fox.
And does he go and meet in person on July 3rd as you testified?
Yes, he does.
All right, and does he have a conversation with Adam Fox?
Yes, he does.
Does he have a conversation with Adam Fox about his plans?
Yes,
Okay, plans for violence?
yes.
All right, have you reviewed exhibit number 149? You take a look at that.
Yes, so this is a conversation that was recorded in the back shack in Grand Rapids between Undercover Mark and Adam Fox. It's a one-on-one conversation from July 3rd, 2020.
Thank you. Does he mention the Wolverine Watchman?
He does.
I'm going to move for its admission, Judge.
Any objection?
Your Honor, I would object it just as it pertains to my client. It's not relevant to him. He's not present. It's July 3rd, and there's nothing in here that pertains to Mr. Beller, Your Honor, so I would object.
Can I object? Honestly, how this could be a co-conspirator statement. None of these people are Wolverine Watchmen. There's no evidence the Wolverine Watchmen knew about this meeting between Adam Fox, this FBI agent. How it can be attributable to Pete Musical anyway.
Response?
Judge, it is a co-conspirator statement. There is an overarching conspiracy here, and any co-conspirators that make statements, it's all part of co-conspirator statements, Judge.
And Your Honor, I haven't
And they
seen,
can argue, and I'm sorry, it's a weight issue, Judge, and not an admissibility issue.
I don't see where a co-conspirator case against Mr. Beller has been established at this point, foundation. That's my objection.
Okay.
But again, I'll deal with it in cross, Your Honor. I withdraw my
Number of
objection.
groups going together. Overruled, submitted.
Thank you, Judge. You can play it, please.
We're operating with a group called Wolverine Watchmen.
Okay.
They're not very well liked by a lot of people in this state, mainly because they're not bootlickers, and they let that be known.
Yes.
These guys are very fucking like covert, like you'll see some people kids at the rallies, but then they got other guys walking around great, and it's like you wouldn't even know.
Right.
They're like just walking around, they got backpacks on, they got foldable subcompacts, and they're like 500 fucking rounds, but they're more strapped than we are.
Right.
But you don't know they're there.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down. Okay. It's your understanding that Mr. Bellar, after the 628 training, goes and forms his own group?
Yes,
Okay, and what is that group called?
it's called the Ghost Group.
Okay, and is there a meeting of this ghost group?
Yes, there is.
Okay, is that event number 15 on July 7th? You can, yeah, you can change that.
Yes, event number 15 on July 7th is the Ghost Group meeting.
Okay. And actually, could you, I'm sorry to ask again, but can you switch that back to the chart with the picture?
Sure.
Thank you. Your understanding of why Mr. Bellar went and formed his own group?
Well, I think there's a few different reasons. One of the reasons was that Paul Bellar got in a disagreement with Jada Morrison about bringing women to the training. Another reason is at this point in the game, Paul Bellar stated he didn't want to be publicly seen at protests. He wanted to have a group in the shadows, a group that was not as visible.
So this meeting, where is it at?
It's at Paul Bellar's residence.
And is that Milford?
Yes,
All right. Who hosts that meeting?
Paul Bellar does.
Okay, and who attends that meeting from this chart?
So from this chart, we've got Ty Garvin, Paul Bellar, Dan Harris, Caleb Franks, Max Wyckoff here attends the meeting. CHS Dan attends the meeting. Solomon Clark attends the meeting. Brandon, I can't remember if Brandon Casura attends the meeting. Jared Buchesney attends the meeting. That's it. I believe there's another member that attended for the first time. That isn't on this chart.
Okay, thank you. Was Mr. Morrison or Mr. Musico there?
No,
Was it recorded?
yes,
And was it live monitored?
yes.
I'm gonna ask you to take a look at exhibit 227. How long is this meeting?
Well, the initial meeting is couple hours, and then after the initial meeting is done, members hang around, order pizza, and then continue discussing Wisconsin.
So what is it you're looking at in 227?
This is a timeline of the meeting, so just topics they roll through during the course of the meeting.
I'm gonna, did you create this?
I did,
All right, did you source it?
I did.
All right, I'm gonna move for its admission, Judge.
No objection.
Objection only that it's been established Mr. Morrison was not present.
Or a minute.
Standing objection.
227 is admitted.
227, Judge?
Didn't you say 227?
I did. Thank you.
That's, I was thinking I was looking at the wrong one for a minute.
Thank you, Judge. All right, could you put it up, please? Okay, so run us through the topics discussed at this meeting, if you could.
Sure. So just left to right, number one, 7:47, Dan arrives at Paul Bellar's residence. Everybody's present when he arrives. There's a discussion of training on guerrilla tactics. 7:52, the meeting's called to order. 7:53, the reason for the meeting, the formation of the new ghost group QRF is brought up. 7:57, there's a discussion of communications between Paul Bellar and Adam Fox. 7:59, there's an ammo can that's passed around and everybody puts their phones into the ammo can. So at that point, I lose live monitoring capabilities. 8:01, the ground rules are created by Paul
Can I stop
Bellar.
you for a second? So you said you lose live monitoring capabilities. Do you have a secondary recorder?
I do.
And are you able to listen to the meeting after it occurs?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, sorry.
At 8:02 is when they start discussing code words that they're gonna use and they're established. At 8:20, there's a discussion about how they're gonna have to burn the code word list after they read it. At 8:21, they talk about Pete Musica's 3 a.m. plan and decide it's not a good idea.
So wait, let me stop you there for a second. Pete Musico's 3 a.m. plan, what is that and when does that get brought up?
So that's what you call the catch and release plan. So it's a plan that had been brought up on the 28th with Adam Fox. And the concept was don't attack the Capitol, kidnap politicians in their homes, get the politicians, and then after you've got them, you've sent your message, you can release them.
So the rejection of Pete's plan, is it rejection of that plan?
Correct.
Go ahead.
Shortly after that, they discuss how this QRF ghost group will not be the one performing the kidnapping of any politicians. At 8:23, Dan brings up what Wisconsin is and tells everybody that Wisconsin is going to be offensive. There's discussion along with how they're not going to perform the kidnapping, that the QRF itself, the ghost group will be a defensive QRF. At 8:23, Ty Garbin states that Wisconsin and moving forward with offensive attacks will start the domino effect.
What's the domino effect?
That's kicking off the boogaloo. So one state goes and then all the states will coordinate their attack plans. There's further reference to how Pete's plan will get them caught by Ty Garbin at 8:25. At 8:33, Dan Harris and Ty Garbin start talking about explosives. The QRF ghost group meeting ends. The phones are retrieved and passed back out. Some people leave.
From the ammo can?
Yes,
Okay.
from the ammo can. And then discussion continues. Dan stays. Somebody orders pizza and Jared Buchesny talks about how he won't be going to Wisconsin because it's too risky. And they game out and find a fallback location in Wisconsin with the group members that are going to be going.
What's a fallback location?
So that's it's a location where the group can go where they have a position of cover, and it had an elevation where they could put snipers, basically where they could shoot out law enforcement if Wisconsin ended up being a trap or an arrest.
Okay, thank you. Judge, I was gonna take this one down and then I've got some audio clips to play. I do have like black and white copies that I could pass out if there's no objection.
So
of the
can I get another
timeline.
one of those?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
Get that. Get it.
Sure.
Any problem with me doing that, Judge?
Not at all.
Thank you.
Do you have one I can follow along with?
Absolutely, Judge, yep. There is one judge in the binder at 227 if you want.
Okay, that's fine. That'll work.
Agent, while they're doing that, could you take a look at exhibits number 150 through 163?
Yes, I have them here.
Okay, and what are they as a whole?
These are recordings from the Ghost Group meeting, so they're sequential recordings as the meeting progressed. That CHS Dan made from July 7th.
Okay, these are portions of the recording of the whole meeting.
That's correct.
Okay, are they fair and accurate?
Yes.
And I'm gonna move for their admission, Judge.
No objection.
Same objection doesn't pertain to Mr.
Same
Morrison.
objection, same objection.
27's admitted.
Okay, thank you. Did Mr. Bellar say what kind of things he wanted to practice? It was one top of the meeting.
Yes, he did.
Okay, and is that reflected in exhibit 150?
Yes.
To play it, please.
150 to
Oh,
153.
yeah, I've admitted it, correct. Please play what it is.
Just for the record, 150 to 160 are admitted. I referenced the chart.
Got it. Thank you, Judge. I was looking for one up to 163, Judge.
163, hold on.
161, 162, and 163.
And I have no objections to all of those, Your Honor.
Any objections?
Same as previous, Your Honor.
Same, yeah.
Okay. Admitted.
Thank you, Judge. So let's roll through this. Please play exhibit 150.
My plan was that we're mostly going for the Willow Wharf or something back there. Most likely help us, we got our house along mall because we're obviously be there early. Yeah, and that was the other side. That's the only reason why I'm very against women not having friends clubs, because I didn't think we were doing military shit. I thought we were doing actual peace tactics and stuff, real shit, not just, parade runs, fucking here, there, all military. Right. I think we're all about that.
So what is this reference here to women in being involved and how Mr. Bellar wants women to be involved?
This is a discussion. It's an extension of the disagreement between Jada Morrison and Paul Bellar from the 628 training with Adam Fox. So
Why was there a disagreement between them?
because Paul brought his girlfriend, Paul Bellar brought his girlfriend Destiny Hand to the training, and Jada didn't like that and confronted him about it. And I did forget to say her name. She also was at the Ghost Group meeting, Destiny Hand,
Okay,
as they're discussing this.
thank you. Did Mr. Bellar state why he called the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to play exhibits 151 and then 152 as well.
So this whole point is, I am starting my own group now. I know that you guys are still full of Watchmen, and it's fine. I'm not dead. I'm trying to put together a team basically that's going to be a little bit more strict, by at least being more self-wise, less of a footprint, no social media, no more than outrage over text messages, phone calls. Just some fucking ghost file and read my shit here. I'm trying to keep it where we're all very professional. We don't have to worry about fucking training movies. I know we still gotta get a little bit more up to date on some information over you guys as well, but we'll get there. So far I can tell though, Ty's really fucking good, he's really fucking good, and really fucking good. I'm still learning myself, but I'm good at medical abuse. So I feel like we got a good start here. I know Frank's pretty damn good as well.
Exhibit 152, please.
Where we're not constantly bringing in random movies and always having to constantly restart the fundamentals. So we start focusing on actually moving real shit together. Just repeating how we got training. That makes sense. Yeah.
What happens if we do come across it? Probably being an
I'm trying to be strict on betting, but
how we do.
I would like to keep our numbers small. I'm trying to, the more houses you got, the more, often chances you got, the one's gonna have loose lips and sink ship. So I'm trying to, where we have a small number of people to, keep the ship quiet on the low speed guys to our end team that's actually local and not too far away.
So the goal, Mr. Beller states, is to be a giant QRF team, correct?
Correct,
With low numbers, right?
correct,
So no one has loose lips and sinks ships, correct?
correct.
Does Mr. Bellar say whether he kept in touch with Mr. Fox?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and can play exhibit 153.
Yeah, I just reached out to Adam, because Ted's reached out to me and told me that Adam and Joe had a conversation.
Who's Tats?
So Tats is a nickname for Brandon Caserta, right here.
Does he have a lot of tattoos
Yes,
all over his neck that are visible?
yes.
Okay, thank you. And so Tats, I'm sorry. So Mr. Bellar says, yeah, I just recently reached out to Adam because Tats, that's Brandon Caserta, reached out to me and told me that Adam and Joe had a conversation, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. You play one, okay, so can you take a look at exhibit 164 as well? You can take this down.
154 or
164, 164,
Oh, yes, I have it here.
what is it?
This is a Facebook business record of a conversation between Paul Bellar and Adam Fox,
Okay, and what's the date on that?
July 7th, 2020.
Can we move for attention, Judge?
No objection.
Staying objective.
Standing objection.
Noted. Admitted.
Thank you. Can you put it up? Can you zoom in? Can you tell us what we're seeing?
Sure. This is from July 7th. This is Facebook direct messages between Adam Fox and Paul Bellar. Paul Bellar states, "Hey, sir, it's Doc, ex-admin of the Wolverine Watchman. Just so you know, I'm still a part of the movement. I had a disagreement on certain ways the group I was with was going, so I made the decision to take my leave and start my own group. I have no bad blood with the Watchman or the head of the group, just personal preferences."
And that's on July 7th, is that right?
That's correct.
Thank you. You can take that down. Okay. Going back to the meeting now, in some more clips, did Mr. Bellar employ OPSEC at this meeting,
Yes,
previously testified to?
yes.
Like exhibit 154, please.
In the future, we leave funds in cars or put them in.
Well, so far, I really haven't said any of the, if we want, we can.
What do you think of shit out there?
I have the ammo case, we can stick them in the home.
Yeah.
55, please.
A little, I guess, ground rules. I'm gonna be making call signs a strict must. Training, talking, over phone, et cetera. Including over text. So what I'm call signing guy, you're checking with it. What's your Leroy? Leroy, your name? Yeah. Leroy. Are you changing yours? No, Gerald. Gerald, Johnny, Wolf, Sager. Are you changing yours or still?
Yeah, Red Hot.
Huh?
Red Hot.
Chili peppers?
Yeah.
I just call it chili red hot.
Chili peppers.
I don't
Red
know.
Hot chili peppers?
Chili in general. Do you want red hot?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you eat it.
Yeah.
Play 156, please.
For training, when we're going to be talking about the overtax, I would like to start with cohorts. Military training. My thing was, I was gonna say, let's call it fucking bonfire, like, hey, we got a bonfire this weekend.
Exhibit 150, is that 156? Thank you. 157, please.
If it's a true QRL, like, no shit, fuck, like, we're having a standoff, it's a Ruby Ridge situation.
Yeah, oh, then it's not gonna matter.
That's what I'm saying, yeah,
Well,
if it's a Ruby Ridge situation, I'm gonna tell you, fucking Ruby Ridge.
If shit, man, all this stuff, fuck, go. Obviously, we're already gonna be going hot.
Yeah.
What are they referencing here? What's out the door?
The whole defensive nature of the QRF.
Can you play 158, please?
But I'll play that out, but after you guys finally fully study up on it, you guys heard it, or get rid of it somehow.
Yeah, we're talking about memorizing this?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up, yes.
Right.
I will type it out, print it, so you guys can try at least your memory of it. I'll just keep it as long as you want.
All it's gonna take is a few of us remembering it though, so if Zach forgets spaghetti, somebody has to remember spaghetti.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're relying on our.
I'm not gonna give you guys like a fucking title, you get the paper. Your fuck that is good, don't take pictures of it.
What's this reference to SpaghettiOs?
That's a code word.
For something else?
Yes, I think it's for a suppressor or like a can, which is a reference to a suppressor.
Does Mr. Beller talk about when the group may be called to action?
Yes, it does.
I'm gonna ask you to play 159, please.
So I did want to talk about, but, I mean, most of you guys were there. Well,
Can you pause it?
You were there, yeah.
Thank you. Can you tell us what this clip is gonna be referencing? What's the context of this?
Yeah, so this is a discussion about members of the Wolverine Watchmen not liking Pete's 3 a.m. plan.
This is the one that you called the catch and release plan that was discussed on June 28th.
Yes,
Okay, and that was about killing politicians in their home or grabbing them.
it was about grabbing politicians, multiple politicians, knowing their address, grabbing them, sending the message, and then releasing them.
Okay, thank you. You can play. If you could start from the beginning, I'm sorry.
So I did want to talk about, but, I mean, most of you guys were there. Well, you weren't. Oh, you were there, yeah. You weren't there. What Pete brought up about.
Not only do I think that one word.
I just don't think that.
I'll tell you guys where I talked to Joe about this right after that. I know you guys told me like, hey, you're in your house, but I told him right side. I'll tell you guys right now. I am not a fucking idiot. No, again, I know you're not innocent, but I'm not getting that. I'll tell you that, right?
Well, yeah.
I joined this shit to try to train up so that I can be of use to defend myself, my country, and my.
So we're all on the same page, like, hopefully we do not ever have to.
Okay.
Mission statement on the group I'm trying to create right now, I'm not an aggressor. This will not be an aggressive group.
Okay.
I'm going with strictly defending, that is it. We will not be, gnarling our fucking teeth, not gonna be flashed on the Capitol. We're gonna be strictly down low, waiting for shit to actually pop the point where we go, all right, we need to protect these people. We need to protect it. We gotta defend the Constitution for this. We need to fight back on this. We're not gonna be fucking black bagging fucking politicians out of their cars, getting fucking warrants, going arrest them. We're not dealing with that. Because we already know the fucking system's rigged.
Yep.
You want to,
No matter what you do.
you don't want to, you want to, you didn't do the legal way. So we're gonna find a way to fucking around it.
Yeah. And that's where I was at.
So where would you draw that line? When do we start?
Well, that would be an open discussion.
Like I said, that's why I said this is a nice way to handle it type of situation.
Go ahead, Courtney. Please. Mission statement of the group, I'm trying to create right now. I am not an aggressor. This will not be an aggressive group. That's what Mr. Beller says, correct?
That's correct.
And then Mr. Beller says, we are strictly defending. Is that right?
Yes,
Was there ever a previous discussion that Mr. Beller had and that the group had about whether they were offensive or defensive?
yes.
Okay, and what were those discussions about?
Those
Your Honor,
were,
I guess I would just ask for a timeline, please, of when those discussions took place.
Okay,
Go ahead.
timeline?
I'm thinking of the previous QRFs that Mr. Beller had been part of from back in, if I can put the timeline.
Yep.
up. So I'm thinking of Mr. Bellar's participation in the QRF gun buy on May 3rd, that's number 6, and the QRF to Detroit, number 8. And then right after that QRF, there was the QRF to Flint.
Gotcha. And so as part of the QRFs, did the topic ever come up of the QRFs being defensive?
Yes,
Okay, and what did Mr. Beller say about defensiveness?
he said they would start shooting cops when they thought it was pertinent.
Okay, go to the next page, please. Already know the fucking system's rigged. Even if we do it the legal way, they're going to find a way to fuck around it, correct? And then Mr. Bouchane says, yeah, and that's where I was at with Pete's plan. And again, Pete's plan, the one that was discussed is the catch and release of politicians, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then Mr. Frank says, so where do we draw that line? When do we start? Was this a topic of discussion frequently in the group?
So this was a frequent topic of discussion on wire in person, where the line in the sand is and when to go offensive.
Mr. Bouchane says, well, that would be an open discussion about it, right?
Correct.
Mr. Beller says, right. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay, an open discussion about it. So here they're talking about how they would discuss it and then they would make a decision about when it was time and where that line was.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to speculation. We had a big argument last Friday.
Yep.
And Mr. Agent Impola, when I asked him about the government, and I'm not trying to make a closing argument here, I'm trying to make an objection. He said, I can't say what Mr. Beller meant when he said those words. He said that regarding the taking of the governor, whether it was an arrest warrant or not, or what it was. Now, he wants to somehow get in Mr. Beller's head. This recording speaks for itself. The text speaks for itself. And he's speculating on what is going on in Mr. Beller's mind at this time.
Response.
Judge, I'm interacting with the exhibit. One line comes right after the other line. So I'm asking him about each line and I'm asking about his previous testimony about, drawing a line in the sand. We've seen other exhibits that talk about drawing lines in the sand.
Which comes right after, I'm not about effing black bagging politicians.
Right, he's not about that plan.
Doesn't say
Judge.
catch and release. Black
It's not
bagging.
about that plan. He's talking about where is the line and there would be an open discussion about it.
And now she's asking the witness, what did Paul mean by that? That's speculation. Doesn't know what's in Paul's mind when they're having this
I
discussion.
agree with you there. Can you point to other statements that Mr. Bellar made previously
About kidnapping.
that would give context to what's being said here?
Okay, I don't have that right here, Judge, but I could look at it at the.
Well,
break
you
and
can
to
come
Yeah.
back to it later if you make a note about it.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate that. You could go to the next one. I would like to take a look, if you could play exhibit 160.
I think the idea too, is to create some sort of domino effect, that way, whichever state does, like, all the other states that are on board this, we are not gonna be the aggressor. The only time I think it'll be liable to be aggressor is when it's some shit, civil war, broadcasted, they're like. I get it, there is a point that. At that point, we're gonna pull out. I get that.
We've heard a lot of references to domino effect, right?
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Bellar said it in the Vac Shack meeting, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and they're talking about it again. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and what is the domino effect?
So the domino effect is a concept from the Boogaloo movement. In order to start the Civil War, as it was described in the Boogaloo training manual, once you start with attacks, you need to win the hearts and minds, you need to select the right targets, and you need to get other rebels to join in and help attack. So coming from the Dublin meeting, counting on other states and other state representatives initiating their attacks when somebody starts the boogaloo.
Does that sound defensive to you, Agent Impola?
Objection.
Sustain.
Could you play 161, please?
Just legit the same faces every time and no longer bringing in a bunch of random fucking new people and a bunch of crummy fucking guys that don't know what they're doing. We're gonna sit with the same people so we can grow stronger and then we can actually move forward, do real shit, just have to live fire around each other, start getting familiar with each other, you know. Yeah, but I wanna get to the point where it's almost like the fucking military that you recognize your buddy's fucking shadow in the dark. That's the type of shit that I wanna see, that's what I'm using.
Do they discuss Wisconsin and the training coming up in Wisconsin?
They do.
Can you play 162, please? Okay, hold on.
One more thing.
Sorry. Can you set this up for us and tell us the context of this?
Sure. So by this time in the meeting, they've moved from the QRF meeting and to now discussing Wisconsin. So the ammo can has been passed. Everybody's got their phones back. I'm able to live monitor again. And now they're talking about moving forward once the QRF meeting is done.
What we're thinking is, industrial complexes. In cases it's, some bullshit going on. We've got some. Well, I think we're probably gonna fall back to this building and shit. Looks like it's obviously elevated, probably up to the rooftop. And for the building that looks like factory. Looks like that mountain wall shit. That's already here. Yeah, bigger picture. That's all I get. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, like shit, man, like we're being fucking out, but like, get fuck out. Probably right in suburban. Then where are we? That's right here. Well, so this looks to be the only entrance. Either right there or this is all bad right here. Yeah. Either that or we try this. How far is this from the place? Where's the line over there? That's what we're thinking. We're gonna pull off right here on the G. Cut the house, and then we do a little layout of it, and then just cut across. It'll be a little bit slower, gotta see, run that correct, but we're not in a rush. I'm not quite already like 7.5 hours out there. Yeah. Yeah.
163, please.
That's why I situation will dictate, but. You see, not what there are fucking boys sitting around waiting for us. I'm not sticking around.
What is that? What's the reference here to 300 fucking boys sitting around waiting for us?
If it's a trap,
And who would be the 300 boys sitting around?
Objection, speculation.
If you know from the context of the clip.
Go ahead.
if law enforcement was waiting.
Thank you. Okay. After this meeting, does Mr. Bellard type up the code words
Yes.
I want you to take a look at 176, 180, and 181, please.
I have 176, 180, and 181.
Okay. And what are they?
176 is a typed up Word document with the code words. 180 is a typed up basic training itinerary. 181 is handwritten notes with the code words.
Move for their admission, Judge?
Objection.
Objection.
Noted. 176, 180, and 180 I got is admitted. 180 and 181 are admitted.
Thank you. Could you put up 176?
This is a typed out document of the code words. It was provided to us by Josh Miller, who attended a July 26th, 2020 training in Fowlerville, Michigan, led by Mr. Beller.
Is that the training that you're referencing, where it was passed out? Is that significant event 20 on the timeline?
Yes. Okay. Right here, this is the Fowlerville training.
Okay, thank you. And so there's, there's words here for certain illegal things, correct?
That's correct.
All right. NFA items, what are NFA items?
NFA is National Firearms Act, so that's any illegal weapons.
Okay. Full auto, what does that mean?
That means a machine gun.
Okay. Okay. Then at the bottom here, what does this say?
Says OPSEC is a must. Call signs are a requirement. Please abide by this to keep our team and yourself safe.
Exhibit 181, please. What are these?
So this is a photograph I took of a notebook found at Paul Bellar's apartment after he was evicted in August.
Okay.
And the handwritten notes are new group, strict call signs, weekends, coded texts, bonfire equals training, bring s'mores equals ammo, crackers equals kit, marsh equals armor, chalk equals weapons, skidoo equals QRF, dogs got ticks equals feds, cops, or a tail, SpaghettiOs equals suppressor dash NFA items, can opener equals full auto.
180, please. What's this?
This is a typed out training itinerary that I found at Paul Bellar's apartment after he was evicted in August.
Okay, and what are some of the things on there? Same kind
Basic
of tactics we talked about already?
Yes,
Okay. Were these, you can take that down, thank you. Were these code words ever used?
yes.
In what way?
Well, the QRF chat group on Wire, Paul Bellar changed the chat group to the bonfire parties chat group. And then later during the course of the investigation, I saw members using the code words.
Your Honor, I guess I would like some clarification on which members and when.
Good question.
Which members and when?
So my memory is that Paul Bellar and Brandon Caserta had direct messages on Facebook in the month of August and that they used these code words as they were talking about it.
Okay. Brandon Caserta is cats.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's talk about Wisconsin. We've finished now. Significant event 14, is that right?
Yes.
And 15, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to skip over to 16, right? Cambria, Wisconsin, is that right?
Yeah.
And 17. So there's day 1 in Cambria, Wisconsin on 16 and day 2 on 17, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so does Mr. Bellar go to Wisconsin?
Yes.
Can you tell me how far it is from Michigan to go to Cambria, Wisconsin?
Well, I think in the recording, they said it was 7.5 hours, but I think it's closer to 6 hours.
Now, you talked earlier about these different threat streams merging. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And, does that apply here in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Why?
So Wisconsin is the first time where these three different subjects of investigation, the Wolverine Watchman, Adam Fox, and Barry Croft, they all come together in person. They meet each other in person and they go to the next phase of the plan that was discussed in Dublin.
And what is the commonality between all three of these different threat streams?
Their belief in the Boogaloo movement.
Does Undercover Mark, who we talked about earlier, does he attend this event?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the first event that Mark interacts with anyone from the Wolverine Watchman?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about what it is, meaning what's the training in Cambria, Wisconsin?
Sure. So Cambria, Wisconsin is a national FTX field training exercise. So it was advertised that militias that were invited by the Wisconsin group and by Barry Croft could work on squad tactics, firearms, there's a medical station.
Okay, and who attended?
So members of the Wolverine Watchman attended. So Paul Bellar.
You know, and I would object mischaracterization of evidence that they just testified that this is a new group that has disassociated themselves from the Wolverine Watchmen.
I can just clarify, Doug, real quick.
Go ahead.
You classify some of these people as Wolverine Watchmen still, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, are they also part of Paul Bellar's group?
Yes,
In fact, didn't we hear a clip where we heard, I'm not taking your guys?
correct.
Okay, so are they part of both groups?
Yes.
Thank you,
Overruled. Go ahead.
thank you. Go ahead, tell me about the members of Wolverine Watchmen that attend.
So Ty Garbin, Brandon Caserta, Paul Bellar, Daniel Harris, and CHS Dan. I'm sorry, as well as Caleb Franks attended.
Okay, Mr. Musico's not there, right?
That's correct.
Mr. Morrison's not there, right?
That's correct.
Okay, Mr. Bellar goes. So is it recorded?
Yes,
Is it live monitored?
yes.
When did Mr. Bellar get the original invitation for Wisconsin?
They discussed it at the VAC Shack on June 20th when he met with Adam Fox.
All right, and who gave him that invitation?
Adam Fox did.
Okay. And does he make any preparations for going to Wisconsin?
Yes, he does.
Okay, can you take a look at exhibit 240?
I have it here.
What is it?
The wire chat log from July 7th from the QRF chat.
Okay, I'm gonna move for its admission.
No objection.
Objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
245 is admitted.
Thank you. If you could display it. First class, please. July 7th, 2020, right? Day of the Ghost Group meeting?
That's correct.
Tell us what we're seeing here.
Paul Bellar tagged other members of the Watchmen and the QRF group. And so he tagged Beaker, that's Dan Harris, Eda Dick, that's CHS Dan, Franks, that's Caleb Franks, and Gunny, that's Ty Garbin, and Wayward, that Wayward is Brandon Caserta. Where do we want to meet up to carpool for the out-of-state bonfire? Is there any public parking places near M59 y'all know of that we can leave the cars at?
What's bonfire again? Is that a code word?
And it's code word for training.
Okay, thank you. That's another instance of the code words being used.
Yes.
Thank you. Next box.
Paul Bellar stated, and I'm sorry, this is from July 9th, 2020 in the QRF chat. Paul Bellar stated, I'm bringing my ammo to share. Don't know how much we're going to need to run through while we're there.
Later on.
Later on in the same day, Paul Bellar tagged CHS Dan at Eat a Dick. I'm bringing 2 boxes of MREs and I get easily full, so we should be good on food, but I also got extra purified emergency water and calorie ration bars. At Wayward, That's Brandon Caserta. You're living off MREs. Gonna do this military style at Wayward. You can use my 9mm. I'm bringing the whole ammo box.
Okay, thank you. Does Mr. Beller in fact go to Wisconsin?
Yes, he does.
And how does he get there?
He rides with Dan. Dan rented a Suburban and they drove all the Wolverine Watchmen, loaded up the Suburban together and drove to Wisconsin.
And did you make a decision that Dan should drive?
Yes,
Why?
for safety. We knew from the QRFs, we discussed what could happen if they get pulled over. If they're amped up. We knew what would happen. They'd already discussed what could happen if they
I
met.
guess I'm gonna object to speculation. What would have happened? Nothing's happened. There's been no facts and evidence that they ever engaged in any law enforcement ever, anywhere.
Right, but when they went down to Detroit, they were talking about if they got pulled over, what was gonna happen.
And my client said he would remove the bolt from his rifle.
I don't,
He would remove the, if you don't remember,
oh, you're talking about for
at the
transportation.
QRF, when he was asked what we're gonna do if the police, the one in Detroit, there's testimony, I believe there's an exhibit, there was a recording, he said he would remove his bolt if the law enforcement approached him.
I do recall. Anything else?
I'm just not sure what the objection is, Judge. I asked why he had Dan drive, and he's telling me why he had Dan drive. So, you know, we can cross him about whether anyone was a threat or not, but I don't think the question is objectionable.
You know what, Your Honor, I'll withdraw the question, I'll deal with it in cross.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Why did you have Dan drive?
I was worried about what would happen if they were pulled over and encountered by law enforcement. I didn't want to escalate the situation. I wanted Dan to have some semblance of control. So I tasked him to make sure he rented a car and he drove for the group.
Thank you. So tell me about the event in Wisconsin. How many days is it?
It's a 2-day training.
What's the event like, and are other people there?
Yeah, so it's a large event. It's at a rural property in Wisconsin. It's at Mike Young's house. So Mike Young is a member of the Wisconsin 3%ers. And there's a kill house that's set up. It's in around a farm. So there's a lot of property that's open in the area. And there's probably 35 to 45 people that come in and out during the training.
Is it all adults?
No, there's some children that come in and out.
How's it set up? Like, what's the setup of the area?
Sure. So there's a long driveway and cars are parked on the driveway. There's a shooting range and a berm area. And then there's a kill house. And then they had a tent set up, like one of those canopy things that you put out for like graduations. And there's a garage that was open. They had water and food and stuff that was available under the tent and in the garage.
Okay, different stations is what you're kind of describing,
Oh,
is that
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. Does Mr. Beller participate in any of those stations?
Yes, he does.
I'm gonna ask you to take a look at exhibits 166, 167, and 168.
All right, I have 167. There's 166 and 168 videos.
Yes,
Okay.
so 167, what is that?
This is a photograph of the Wolverine Watchmen or the Ghost Group entering the kill house. They're stacking up on the door.
Okay, is that fair and accurate?
Yes,
I'm gonna move for its admission.
No objection.
Objection only to it doesn't pertain to Mr. Morrison.
Standing objection, Your Honor.
Admitted.
Have you previously viewed the videos in 166 and 168 from the training?
yes.
Okay, and what are those generally?
Those are training videos that were taken by members of the Wisconsin 3%ers of the training.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna move for their admission.
I have no objection to those either.
No objection. Your Honor.
Standing objection.
Admitted with the standing objection.
Thank you. If you display 167, please. What do we see here?
This is the Watchmen stacking up for the kill house station. So
It's all the way to the right.
that's Paul Bellar,
Here,
Ty Garbin,
here.
Dan Harris,
here?
Caleb Franks.
Okay. We see a bunch of plywood here, is that right?
That's correct.
What can you tell me about this structure?
So this is the taller plywood. That's to resemble a door. And so this is to represent a perimeter of some type of residence.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna ask you to play 166, please. What are we seeing there?
That's the team entering the house and moving through a room, clearing a room, and then moving on to the next danger area.
We saw little signs there that they were shooting at, right?
Yes,
There was red and green signs, correct?
correct.
What were those?
Those are shoot, don't shoot. So it's for the operators to read the target and then make a tactical decision. So red means don't shoot, green means shoot.
Thank you. 168, please.
Unit ready,
Can you pause it?
you can commence fire.
Okay, can you tell us who's in this lineup here?
Yes. The left to right, this is Brandon Caserta. This is Paul Bellar. This is Ty Garvin, and this is Caleb Franks here on the end.
These are all Wolverine Watchman members, right?
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead, thank you.
Seize.
Take that down. Does Mr. Bellar instruct on anything in any of these stations?
Yes,
What?
the medical stations.
So what does that mean to instruct?
This means to help explain and help run the station, demonstrate the drills.
Okay, can you take a look at exhibit 165? And I'm sorry, before you do that, when you say run the station and explain the drills, what kind of drills, what kind of tactics is he explaining?
Medical tactics, so combat first aid.
Take a look at 165, please.
I have it here.
What is it?
This is a statement from Saturday from Paul Bellar when he's talking to other members of the Wolverine Watchman and the Kill Rap crew about the medical station.
Okay. Is he commenting on, let me move for his admission first.
No objection.
Standing objection.
No objection, Your Honor. Admitted.
And when you said he's talking to other people about it, what's he talking about generally? So set this clip up for us.
So he's talking about the state or how the current medicals training is and how to improve it.
Okay, thank you. Play it.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, when you say they, is he doing this at Wisconsin or is he just, who is he talking to specifically during this conversation?
Sure. So he's in Wisconsin and they're around the back of the Dan Suburban. It's a break in the training and they're loading up with ammo. So the Wolverine Watchman members, so Paul Bellar, CHS Dan Harris, Brandon Caserta, Caleb Franks, they're around the Suburban away from the rest of the group, the rest of the Wisconsin 3%ers.
Thank you.
Yeah, we see the new labor improvement, they're not medical, why do you think I joined you guys up there? Medical was a fucking butcher shop, that's why I got because I knew. And that's the issue too, it's like people, wrong people, yeah, and like, me and Jake are both sat there, like, we wanted to say something, but we just, well, sometimes we, well, what's happened since fucking keeping shit out here, to put in check. I let people do this shit, and they're like, all right, I like what you're doing, man, let me figure that out and say, how about this? Yeah, this is fun. Because, oh my God. That's why I tried to sell. And that's it's not my way. It's like, Brandon kids, they were already fucking about. He was already fucking out everything about iPad. The report maybe it's like small. Someone else, and I'm like, no, iPad for report to you, that is for the medic or whoever's going to aid you to fucking rip off, and use on you. Right. Like, that's the same thing as like burning through your own tourniquets on someone else that got hurt. You use their fucking tourniquets, you find out where their tourniquet's at, you place it on them.
Like, I watch my language, unless I can tell you how, you know, hey, what's happening, yes. The technical stuff is in my wheelhouse, that's what I've done.
And with the ill health coming up, I really like how, I don't know what that guy's name is. The guy's gonna run this shit kind of.
Big guy?
Yeah, Steve. Yeah, Steve. He was talking about how he wanted number one guy to go right, number two guy to go middle, and number three guy to go left. That's way off.
No.
Like, you're
And
supposed to
like
be staggering that shit.
But
out.
I like doing our story.
That's how we do it. I feel like when we go do this, I feel like we need to like kind of step up as a team and maybe show them the proper way.
I see,
Because Adam already knows it. We can teach him at the town.
right.
Mr. Bellar says he and the group have been teaching the proper way to Adam. Is that right?
That's correct.
After day one's, you can take it. After day one's training is done, is there a dinner?
Yes.
Who do you know that goes to the dinner?
CHS Dan goes to the dinner. This is the dinner at Dino's Diner in Cambria. Adam Fox goes to the dinner. Barry Croft goes to the dinner. Amanda Keller goes to the dinner. Paul Bellar goes to the dinner. Ty Garbin goes to the dinner. Caleb Franks goes to the dinner. Dan Harris goes to the dinner.
And that's a lot of people, right?
That's correct.
Multiple tables kind of smushed together.
Yeah, there's probably about 3 or 4 tables that were pushed together.
Okay, thank you. All right, I want to talk about day two now. Tell me about kind of how the groups started the day, each day of the training.
Sure. So Steve Robeson from the Wisconsin 3%ers and Barry Croft from Delaware would address the group. Steve would say a prayer, talk about the safety in the water, and then Barry Croft would talk about what they were training for. And they would break up into their stations. And after that brief, when everybody's gathered around, everybody would kind of go on throughout the day and rotate through the stations.
Okay. So on day two, are they doing that in the morning?
Yes.
Gathering together?
Yes,
Okay, is Barry Croft talking about what Barry Croft talks about?
yes,
And does Mr. Bellar address the group?
yes, he does.
Can you take a look
Your
at-
Honor, I would just ask that what exactly Barry Croft talked about. We heard a lot of stuff that Barry Croft was talking about with the Dublin meeting, but if we could just get some clarification of exactly what Barry Croft was talking about. Was he talking about hurting people real bad, or was he talking about the training? I think there's just needs to be a little more, it needs to be a little more concise, Your Honor.
I can ask the judge.
Go ahead.
Okay, what was Barry Croft talking about that morning?
So Barry Croft was talking about the need for action, talked about, this is my memory of the recording, it's not verbatim, talked about the domino effect. There was a lot of discussion about Governor Whitmer. There was discussion about how they needed a 7 to 8 man team to go after the governor. There was discussion about how they were training for the larger purpose, which is the Boogaloo.
Sometime after that, does Mr. Bellar address the group?
Yes, sometime after that, as they're talking about getting into their stations and kind of doing the safety brief, Mr. Bellar addresses the group.
Do you know exactly how long after that, or is it just sometime after that?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, sometime after that.
And take a look at 264, please. It hasn't been admitted yet. Okay.
Oh. All right, I don't have a copy of 264, but I recall it.
Okay, and what is it?
It's a transcript of a recording in which Paul Bellar is addressing, the group, talking about medical input. And it's from Wisconsin, from the second day of training.
Thank you. And move for submission, Judge.
No objection.
Said 264.
264, it's not in the binder, Judge. These were some additional ones that kind of throughout the course of the trial. Creating.
Okay.
Thank
They
you.
provided to me this weekend, and I have no objection to them being admitted.
Objection only to Mr. Morrison, Your Honor.
Standing objection, Your Honor.
Admitted. Objections noted.
265 also from that same time period?
Yes.
Okay, and does that address, Wolverine Watchman training, Mr. Bellard talking to other people that morning?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna move for the admission of that too, Judge.
No objection.
Same objection, Your Honor.
And that's 265.
Five.
Standing objection, yeah.
Admitted.
Thank you. We played 264.
I got one thing to add. For those of you that are gonna be, out and about with your medic, please get in touch with your medic. I know it's, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'll ask you.
Good amount of good info for you guys. Let them know what medical conditions you have. Basically, I got one thing to add. For those of you that are gonna be, out and about with your medic, please get in touch with your medic. I know it's, I'm sorry. So good amount of good info for you guys. Let them know what medical conditions you have. Basically, anything, everything that you're comfortable with, let them know, because if you go down, then you gotta work out. They gotta know where your kid is, they gotta know where your. Anybody want to some? That Bernie says they. What's that? Yeah. Your medic, you're not.
Thank you. 265.
Hold on, what's IPACS?
Oh, could you tell us what IFAC is?
Sure.
IPAC or IFAC?
Yeah, so that's the emergency medical kit. So each operator in the field is supposed to have their own emergency medical kit. It'll have a lot of times a nasal cannula for your airway. It'll have a tourniquet. It'll have quick clot. It'll have that which will stop bleeding. It'll have an Israeli bandage. It'll have trauma shears to be used to cut your clothing off to find a penetrating trauma.
Thank you.
265, please. Can you tell us about 265 before we play it? Oh, you don't have it on in your binder, do you?
I do not have it in my binder.
Okay, 265.
One thing I think you guys, it might help out is, we like to, weeks of advance, we'll actually list what we're gonna do in training step by step. But all the guys that are training, all the instructors have that list and they know where we're at and what time it can be done by and all that other stuff and what we're gonna be doing on that. You pre-plan your training, so like no one's gonna be confused, they're like, all right, what do we wanna do next? It's just gonna be, all right, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this.
This is our schedule.
Yeah.
Mr. Bellard given a lot of advice.
Yes,
You can take that down. At the training, is there any attempt at explosive building detonation?
yes, that was day one.
Can you tell me about that?
Sure. So Barry Croft brought what he called a chemistry kit, and he brought it to the end of a truck, and Dan Harris and Ty Garbin helped him. So this is during the day on day one, so this Saturday, and they built an IED using a firework and then putting shrapnel on it. And then they tested the IED, they put it in an old oven and tried to see if they could get it to explode.
Did it explode?
Kind of fizzled out. It didn't really explode at all. And then they shot at it until they were satisfied that it was done.
Correct. And an IED is an improvised explosive device?
Yes.
Is there another meeting planned after this for the same people who kind of trained in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay, and where is that on our significant event timeline?
So that is number 18 right there. This is the Peoples, Ohio meeting. So it's the second national militia meeting.
People's a city in Ohio? Okay, and that's labeled on the timeline, second national militia meeting, is that right?
That's correct.
And Mr. Bellard does not go to that, correct?
That's correct.
All right, neither do Mr. Morrison, Mr. Musico, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but does Mr. Bellard, based on your review of communications, know that it's occurring?
Yes.
And does he ask anyone about it after it
Ye-
occurs?
Yes, it does.
Okay, can you take a look at 173, please? purpose of this meeting in Peoples, Ohio? Based on your knowledge during this investigation.
So Peoples, Ohio, as stated by Adam Fox, this is the second stage of their planning. So after they'd done phase one after Dublin, they went out and recruited members. The second stage was state representatives were supposed to come to Peoples with different attack plans. And so the concept is at Peoples, the national members were going to decide which attack plan was the best and pick that attack plan to kick off the Boogaloo.
What is exhibit 173?
This is a Facebook business record from a discussion between Dan Harris and Paul Bellar.
Okay. Dan Harris being in the Wolverine Watchman, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna move for its admission, Judge.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
173 is admitted.
Can you display it, please? Can you get that whole like area around the box? Did you go above it? As well, a little bit above it, I'm sorry. People's Ohio meeting happens on July 18th, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and so what's happening here?
This is a discussion on July 20th of 2020. So Paul Bellar asks Dan Harris, how was Ohio? Y'all good? With an asterisk question mark followed. Dan Harris stated frustrating. Paul Bellar stated, ah, fuck. Dan Harris stated, we'll explain Thursday.
Okay, thank you. After Wisconsin, does Mr. Bellar go to another training event in Fowlerville, Michigan?
Yes, he does.
All right, is that significant event number?
Number 20 on the significant events timeline.
Okay, number 20, is that right?
Yes.
All right, WW Trainings Vehicles, is that right?
Yes.
That's the end of July, right?
Yes.
What's in Fowlerville, Michigan?
Caleb Frank's family has some property that he'd offered to the watchmen they could use for tactical training.
Okay, so he hosts it, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, Mr. Bellar attend?
yes,
Mr. Musico and Mr. Morrison do not, right?
that's correct.
What's it for?
It's a tactical training for vehicle tax.
And what sort of tactics, or is it recorded and live monitored?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. What sort of trainings, what sort of tactics are trained on?
So they practice dismounting with a weapon from a vehicle and then shooting and moving as a team in and around vehicles.
Okay, thank you. Was video taken of this?
Yes,
Was that in exhibits 174 and 175?
yes,
They would not be in your binder if they're videos.
correct. Yes,
Okay, and you're familiar with them?
I am.
Okay, and are they fair and accurate?
They are.
Thank you. We move for their admission.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
174, 175 are admitted.
Thank you. People play 174, please. What are we about to see here?
So this is dismounting from a vehicle. It's a PT Cruiser. It's Caleb Franks' vehicle, and they're two operators moving and firing together.
Okay. Who's on the right?
I'll have to see the video.
Okay, thank you.
Moving.
Who's in that video?
So Brandon Caserta was on the right in the passenger's seat, and Paul Bellar was in the left in the driver's seat.
Exhibit 175, please. Same, the
Clark.
last, yeah. driver's seat, Mr. Serta in the passenger seat again,
Yes,
different angle?
yes.
We're gonna take a break now.
Okay.
10 minutes or so. If you, once you get, move around a little bit, get back, we'll bring you back in.
Thank you, Judge. All right, Agent Info, we just talked about the training in Fowlerville with the Beatles, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at that time after that, end of July, early August, does Bellar leave the state?
Yes,
Okay, where does he go?
goes to South Carolina.
Does he stay in touch with the Wolverine Watch?
Yes, he does.
And can you take a look at exhibit 178?
All right. I have it here.
What is it?
The photograph of his, where he was staying in South Carolina that he sent to Wolverine Watchman from the beginning of August.
Thank you. Move for submission.
No objection.
No objection.
Standing objection.
178 submitted.
Thank you. Can you put it up? Okay, what is this?
This is a closet in South Carolina.
You can take it down. Is he still in the chat group with Mr. Adam Fox?
So he's in the FAPO chat group.
What's the FAFO chat group?
So FAPO stands for Fuck Around and Find Out. It's a chat group that was added after Adam Fox came to training.
Okay. And Mr. Bellar is a part of that group, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And fuck around, find out, is that a common phrase in sort of English language?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Do you know what it means?
It's a warning.
Can you take a look at exhibit 177?
Yes, I have it here.
What is it?
This is a screen capture taken from using Dan's access through wire to the Fuck Around and Find Out chat group.
Okay, I'm gonna move for submission.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
77 submitted.
Okay, and can you put it up? What are we looking at?
So on the left side is screen capture of the chat group, and then on the right side is included in the screen capture is participants who are in that.
You zoom in on the top half of the right side. Who's in this chat group?
So it's Dan Harris is speaker, Adam Fox is Dean Z, Doc is Paul Bellar, Edie Dick is CHS Dan, Gunny is Ty Garbin, and Red Hot is Bill Franks.
A lot of these same members that we've been talking about recently, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, on the left side, you can zoom in the bottom. What are we looking at?
Adam Fox stated, okay, well, well, how does everyone feel about kidnapping? Not kids, high profile scum with some emoji.
You can take that down. Does Mr. Bellar start talking with the Wolverine Watchman about starting his own group in South Carolina?
Yes,
Okay, and can you take a look at exhibit 186?
right there.
What is it?
This is a Facebook business record from Paul Bellar's Facebook account from August. It's a statement from August 13th, 2020.
Okay, move for submission.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
186 is submitted.
Can you put it up? What are we looking at?
So this is August 13th, 2020. Paul Bellar tagged another user, Zach Butch, and stated, the government gave me great training at noticing small things in my surroundings. Little did they know they trained me to fight against them.
This is August 13th, right?
Correct.
Thank you. Take that down. Did you have some contact with Milford Police Department at the beginning of August?
Yes.
Can you tell me why?
We received notice from the landlord where Paul at the trailer park where Paul Bellar resided, that he was being evicted and was leaving, and that there was some concern about some of the things that had been left behind. And so the landlord called Milford Police Department, and Milford Police Department called the FBI, and I went the following day to the apartment.
Okay, you went to his apartment, right?
Correct,
Mr. Bellar and his roommate were no longer living there.
correct.
Okay, and did you find anything related to this investigation?
Yeah, so after they'd moved out, there was a number of things the apartment was cleaning up and they're considered abandoned items and we found notes and things to that effect.
Okay, I'm gonna have you look at exhibits 179 to 182.
All right, I have them here.
And what are they?
So these are photographs I took of Paul Bellar's apartment.
Okay, for their admission, Judge?
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection, yeah.
179 to 182 are admitted.
Can you put up 179, please? What is this? It's kind of hard to see at the top. If you could zoom in of the window, what is that?
So this is a handwritten sign in Paul Bellar's bedroom with the statement Boogaloo Ave.
180?
This is a training itinerary that I found on the floor.
181?
This is,
Saw earlier.
yes, this is the handwritten notes from a notebook that I found on the floor.
182?
This is the rank structure that I found in the notebook.
Okay, thank you. Take that down. All right, so we've talked a lot about things that were happening in July with Mr. Bellar. Is that right?
Correct,
Okay, we've talked about him going to Wisconsin, right?
correct.
Fowlerville, correct?
Yes,
Sort of generally mentioned this Peebles, Ohio meeting. Is that right?
correct.
Okay, I want to shift back over to Mr. Morrison and Mr. Musico in the month of July, okay?
Okay.
Okay. At this point, this is now, Dublin has occurred and now it's July, June and July time. Were you able to find videos of Barry Croft in which you know that Mr. Morrison or Mr. Musico have seen them?
Yes,
How do you know that?
because when Barry Croft posts the photograph on Facebook, Mr. Musico and Mr. Morrison will comment on the video as it's going. And those comments will be captured and I'm able to see them via the Facebook search warrant results that I get from Facebook.
Mr. Morrison and Mr. Musico are still in contact with Mr. Barry Croft, is that right?
That's correct,
Throughout the month of July
correct,
and August
correct.
and September
Yes.
and into October, correct?
I believe just Mr. Musico is in contact in October and the last contact was at the end of September for Mr. Morrison.
Okay, so I want you to take a look at 100, are you familiar with the videos in 100B through D? With the ones that were labeled from June 11th, 2020 that Mr. Morrison watched?
Yes,
And were they fair and accurate
yes,
to the records you have?
yes.
I'm going to move for their admission.
No objection.
No objection, Your
No
Honor.
objection, Your Honor.
You said B through D.
B through D, yes.
I've got C and D already admitted, so B is admitted.
Thank you. B, C, and D.
The C and D, C, D, E, F have all been admitted previously as well as
Got it.
Q through W.
Got it. Thank you, Judge. If you could play B.
I think it's sad that everybody sits on Facebook and bitches about this, but we have the numbers, we have the arms, we have the ammunition, we have all the fucking tools and strategy that we need to just go take our country back from 435 members of fucking Congress that don't give a fuck about us.
I'm sorry. That was actually Adam Fox, right?
That's correct.
Thank you. And that is one that Mr. Morrison watched. Is that correct?
Yes, and just to clarify, I think you're looking for the ones in the 101 series, not the 100 series.
Thank you.
It's a different category of videos.
All right, Judge. let me just
That's all right.
coordinate here.
Take your time.
I'm sorry, Judge. I was talking about 101, not the 100 series. So apologies. B through D in 101 series is Mr. Croft And these are videos that Mr. Morrison watched, is that right?
That he commented on, yes.
That he commented on, okay. Those are the ones I was looking to admit, Judge.
And I show them all being previously admitted, so.
Oh, okay, got it. Yep. And then 101 E and F are ones that Mr. Musico watched of Croft, is that right?
Correct. Those are from July.
July 2020, correct?
Correct.
Show those as previously admitted, Judge?
But, I take that back. They, for the record, they're all admitted.
Okay.
The one you had admitted before was 101A.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Thank you. All right, so if you could show B through D first, the ones that Mr. Morrison watched.
Seemed to me, the only thing they're really worried about is keeping criminals, destroying things, and keeping people who are Americans getting charges. They're trying to make everybody a criminal. So why don't you all just be criminals? If they're trying to make you criminal, why don't you just go ahead and do that? You know what I mean? I swear you probably have a lot less reservation about taking these people out that are doing the thing to your country. Because they're destroying your country.
See?
And I know the Supreme Court hasn't ruled for us in a while, but they used to. And for that reason, you can't abandon the fact that the Supreme Court has represented and defended the Constitution in the past. You just have to bring up the fact that they haven't done it in recent history, which should be reasons to dethrone people. You know, I don't give a damn who picked these people. If they're not doing their job, make an example out of it. Whatever that Ginsburg, Bader, that old fucking keeper looking thing they got up there, that needs hung. That right there needs absolutely hung. Ruth Ginsburg, Bader, whatever the fuck she's going by, she needs hung. Absolutely hung. Unconstitutional as shit. Forgot and flipped and bumped her fucking head. But
D?
yeah, damn right. Let's make them bleed out. That's the real hardcore truth, for real. Until you shoot these people off of your continent, until you make a big enough impression that you're not going to let freedom go without the biggest fight you've ever kicked off in your life, it's going to go slowly. And they're working it toward.
And now the ones that Mr. Musico watched in July, E.
Support everybody's truth. I support the people that are willing to show up and fight and die for their cause. Because the civil body politic people can't agree with each other and they want to argue. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Get in the house and leave me alone right now. I love you with everything I got. So right now is the time. So I'm one of those people that's willing to show up and fight and die for my cause. And it's the fault of the people in the civil body politics, those of you who are unwilling to die, but have strong opinions. You guys can't get yourselves together. Those of us who are ready, willing, and able to fight and die for what we believe in, there's a mutual respect and an honor.
Last one, 101F.
I walked around with a Michael Myers t-shirt on yesterday, man. I did. I had a tricorn and a Michael Myers. For real. Michael Myers. I didn't have a Boogaloo t-shirt on. I went politically neutral with the tricorn. Because I don't want anybody thinking, oh, he's voting for him, he's voting. No, he's not voting. He's voting for lead. That's what he's voting for. He's voting for revolution for the sake of the Constitution, which has been trampled. And Republicans and Democrats are okay trading your unalienable rights for their votes. I'm not.
Mr. Morrison and Mr. Musico, we said didn't go to Wisconsin or the Fowlerville training, correct?
Correct.
All right, but does Mr. Morrison still discuss the Boogaloo at all in July?
Yes, he does.
Can you take a look at Exhibit 246?
I have it here.
Can you tell me what that is?
This is a Facebook business record from August 3rd of 2020. Joe Morrison makes a statement.
You, move for its admission, Judge.
Correctional objection.
No objection.
No objection to this.
46.
Thank you. Please display. At the bottom section. Thank you. Tell us what we're seeing here.
So August 3rd, 2020, Joe Morrison replied to a comment from a tagged user, Mikey Notskow. They don't know how our QRF works. All I needed to do, sorry, they don't know how our QRF works. All I needed to do us ping and drop a location and it would have been dance time.
What is dance time again?
Code word for the Boogaloo, the electric Boogaloo.
You've said that they've maintained contact during July with Mr. Croft and Mr. Fox, correct?
Correct.
Can you put up exhibit 5, please, and go to page 4? And on the left side of the page in June, is that Mr. Morrison talking about Barry Croft?
Yes.
What does he say?
June 21st, he says, Barry is my brother.
Okay, thank you. Can you zoom into the other side? What's this?
This is an icon posted by Joe Morrison in which Barry Croft loved it. It's from July 1st, 2020. It's a snake with a grenade. It says, fuck around and find out.
Next page, please. You could zoom into that. What's this?
This is July 17th, 2020. Joe Morrison sent a direct message to Barry Croft and stated, you have the tricorn, sir. I have the coonskin.
Okay, it's referring to the picture that's to the right.
Yes.
Thank you. Next page, please. Okay, can you zoom into that box on the left, please? Okay, what's going on here?
So on July 17th, 2020, Barry Croft stated to Joe Morrison, we're getting ready to pick it up several notches. I intend to start at your home state with a 5-state coalition. Joe Morrison replied, I'm down for it.
And this reference to start, I intend to start at your home state. What is that a reference to?
Start the Boogaloo.
If you could go to exhibit 7, does Mr. Musico have contact with Barry Croft during this time?
Yes, he does.
Exhibit 7, page 4, please. This is Mr. Musico now communicating with Mr. Croft. Is that right?
That's correct.
It's actually Mr. Croft tagging Mr. Musico.
Yeah, so he tags Mr. Musico and then he makes a statement. So Barry Croft stated, you already know why. Your private messages with the crisp scriptural content in moments I absolutely need it. I am but flesh. I waver at times with doubt like any man. Paul said, I wrestle with my flesh daily. When I wrestle, you seem to sense it. As if my deficiency is apparent to you. I often wonder if you feel the despair that I carry with the knowledge of the true happenings. But then I catch myself. It is not for me to see to me to fall back to my station. I don't believe they know how much I love them in flesh. I'm inept at conveyance of my spirit. Empathy for those wronged is present, but it lends no weight to mutiny. Not mutiny against a facade, but to turn against your own is to strike thyself. The burden of God and generals. I envy the Father for his patience. The latter I despise for their necessity. and Old Fool was here.
Next section.
Barry Croft tagged Pete Musico. This is July 5th and stated, "Love you too, brother." Pete Musico tagged Barry Croft and stated, "I must because I feel the despair growing in this world day by day. I feel new demons walking this earth. I see old demons getting louder and more vocal, brother. All we have is each other and our faith in God. That's it. When I send you those messages, brother, I want you to know the Lord tells me to send them to you. I myself fall short every day, learning to reach out in my ministry, learning to listen to God when he speaks to my spirit. But I am but man. I die daily. And I just want you to know that you're not the only person that feels that way, brother. And then I'm right beside you and that I love you, man. And I do pray for you."
Next section. This is showing he watched that video we watched.
Yes, that's correct.
The next section.
This is a statement during the same video we watched from July 5th. Pete Musico stated, "I get that all the time, win hearts and minds every day."
Hearts and minds, we heard this phrase before, correct?
Correct.
What is it?
It's a concept from the Boogaloo Training Manual. You've got to win an insurrection. You need to win the hearts and minds of people.
Okay, I'll take that down. All right. Significant events timeline. We talked about this Peebles, Ohio meeting, correct?
Correct.
We're on event number 18, is that right?
Yes,
Okay. Mr. Musico, Mr. Morrison, they don't go, correct?
that's correct.
But Dan goes, is that right?
Yes,
And Dan with other Wolverine Watchman members?
yes,
Do you remember who?
yes. It was Ty Garbin, and Dan Harris.
And that meeting is for what? In Peebles, Ohio?
So that's the attack planning meeting where they're gonna choose the different attack strategies for different states and try to come up with which state was gonna kick off the Boogaloo.
From that meeting, does there ever become a plan that everyone agrees on that attends that meeting?
No, there was a lot of plans, different attacks, but they couldn't determine which governor or which state was gonna go first.
Okay. Do you know whether Mr. Musico, based on the review of chats and things and evidence in this case, do you know whether Mr. Musico knew about that meeting?
He stated he did,
Okay. And how do you know that?
because he sent messages to Dan, which I was able to monitor.
Okay. I want you to take a look at 170 through 172. Does Mr. Morrison know about that meeting?
Yes, he
How do
does,
you- how do you know that?
through monitoring of chats.
Okay. 170 to 172, please take a look.
So I have 170, 171, and then I have two. Oh, they're the same. I'm sorry. 172 is just duplicated.
Okay. Tell me what 170 is.
170 is screen captures of text messages between CHS Dan and Pete Musico.
Okay. And so 171?
171 is a screen capture of a Facebook direct message. This is on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, between Pete Musico and CHS Dan.
Okay. 172.
72 is wire chat logs taken by the FBI when we're monitoring Dan's account. It's from July 19th, 2020, the leadership chat.
Okay. Move for the admission of all three, Judge.
Objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Objection to the leadership chat only, Your Honor.
And the objection being,
Client within that chat, yeah.
noted. 170, 171, 172 are admitted.
Thank you. Could you put up 170, please? From before the People's Ohio meeting, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, can you zoom in on the left side, please? What are we looking at?
so this is a screen capture I had Dan take of his phone after the case was completed. And Dan is the green and Pete Musico is the left side, the light blue.
And I want you to start at July 11th.
Pete Musico stated, "What's up, butt slut? How's it going?" Emoji. Dan replied, "Yo, getting ready. Head over with Adam. Meet Barry." Pete Musico stated, good. I need you to meet him, feel him out for me. Let him know you're with me and and you know who.
Okay,
Wolverine Watchman.
and the next side of the page, please.
This is a continuation, the same chat. Wolverine Watchman, baby. You know our name too. Love ya, bro. Be safe. He knows me as Pete.
And the
3.
next day, July
Oh, I'm
11th,
sorry.
well, sorry, what happens?
Yes, on July 12th, Pete Musico stated 3. Don't forget 3.
Okay,
And-
is that a reference to?
So that's a reference to the 3 plan. So kidnapping politicians in their homes at 3 a.m.
Okay, go ahead.
Hell yes, been busy and been driving. And so do we set the tone for the country or what? Dan stated we definitely did.
July 13th now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. 171, please. You zoom. Get that. Could you zoom 2 different things on one screen? Is that possible? No, just goes to 1. Okay. We can't read it, but you can read it on your exhibit if you would.
Yes. So the right, the blue, that's Dan's instant messenger, and the left, the lighter color, that's Pete Musico's. Pete Musico states, sup homie. Dan states, oh, just getting out of the meeting.
This is a reference to the people's meeting?
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Dan states, how did it go? And do you feel, I'm sorry, that was not Dan. This is Pete Musico asked, how did it go? And do you feel there are any feds there? You know, we're all terrorists now. Peace-loving citizens, terrorists, some bullshit. Dan stated, bound to happen. Was a matter of if, not when. No feds, no direction, really. Pete Musico asked, is there a tomorrow? Bring up 3.
This is Mr. Musical again referencing 3 plan.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead. He's asking,
Oh, do you want me
Dan,
to keep going?
yes, I'm sorry. And he's
Sorry.
asking Dan to bring it up in the meeting, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
in the
go ahead.
people's meeting. Dan replied to that and said, I will tonight on call. It was a cluster out of the gate. Then we got rolling. Pete Musico stated, okay, if our team needs to pull lead, bro, you know best. Dan stated, yeah, we just need to get everyone who's down to go and get a direction. Pete Musico stated, and this is why they are winning.
Thank you. Exhibit 172, if you could put that up. Now, this is Mr. Morrison's references to the people's meeting. Is that right?
That's correct.
First section, please.
This is from July 19th, 2020, leadership chat logs. Joe Morrison stated, heard you boys had some unexpected guests.
What's the reference to unexpected guests?
During the people's training, they had lookouts outside. It was in a large manufacturing warehouse that they've taken over in Peoples, Ohio. And the lookouts thought they saw law enforcement or feds in the area. So they grew very concerned during the people's meeting. Barry Croft did. It caused a lot of angst among the members.
Go ahead.
Joe Morrison stated, I just talked to Barry.
Next section.
Joe Morrison stated, there's a rat somewhere or comms is compromised.
Communications.
Correct.
Okay, next section.
So this is a statement from Joe Morrison. There's a little context here. Previously, Dan Harris stated, we have a lot to unpack. And Joe Morrison replied here from my convo, yes, we do.
Convo with Barry Croft, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down. All right. Moving right along on the significant events timeline. We've now gone past We talked about Wisconsin in events 16 and 17, correct?
Yes,
Now we've talked about Peebles, Ohio in event number 18, correct?
correct.
Okay, and now number 19. What is number 19?
So number 19 is a Wolverine Watchman training exercise from August 9th in Munich, Michigan, where Adam Fox attends.
Okay, and Mr. Morrison is there?
Yes, he is.
Okay, is Mr. Musico there?
No,
Is Mr. Bellar there?
no.
Okay, so Mr. Morrison is there. Is he hosting
Yes,
on his property like usual?
yes,
Okay, this is like the 7th or 8th time, correct?
correct.
And who attends this one?
So Adam Fox attends. He brings another member that he'd recruited from his own operators named Dan Jones. And I believe Amanda Keller comes as well.
Okay, is this recorded?
Yes, and I should clarify, Sean Fix, his XO, also attends the training.
Other members of Wolverine Watchmen there?
Yes,
Okay, it's recorded?
yes,
Is it live monitored?
yes.
What's discussed here and by whom?
Adam Fox talks about his kidnapping plan. He brings it up to the group, and there's discussion about who's going to participate.
How long does this last for?
Well, it's discussion throughout the training. He brings it up early on, and then throughout the training, there's individual conversations and side conversations that occur at different times.
And does Adam Fox tell the group anything about any sort of surveillance or reconnaissance mission he already has going on?
Yes, so Adam Fox addressed the Wolverine Watchmen and told them that he had surveillance by one of his operators that was going on in the Mackinac Island location of the governor.
What was he talking about there?
So there was 3 potential locations. Location 1 was in Lansing, location 2 was at Mackinac Island, and location 3 was her northern cabin. So he was talking about location 2.
Exhibits 183 to 185, if you could review those real quick. Tell me what those are.
So location, I'm sorry, 183 to 185, these are excerpts of the training, they're consensual recordings that Dan did, and they involve discussions with Adam Fox.
Okay, move for their admission, Judge.
My client was not present, no objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
183 to 185 are admitted.
Thank you. If you could bring up 183, please, and tell us what this is before.
So this is a discussion between Adam Fox and other members of the Wolverine Watchmen about where the plan's gonna go. They reference the 3 plan, the 3 AM plan, the catch and release plan, and then Adam Fox has his own thoughts.
Thank you.
I know that, but we're supposed to sit here on the face of the fucking earth, no longer with. We don't even have to, we're still at the same standstill, so once we have the package, what do we do? Catch and release, get the fuck out of them, let them know what period.
No, if you take somebody, they need to leave that.
What is the package?
That's the governor.
184, please.
And then how do you guys feel about some group that might not be as fucking down as the yeah, somebody sell down thing, but I like the idea because I think it'd be a good chance to see if you can bring people like from where they can in and
That actually want to do.
like, look how well Wisconsin is. Like, you know, I feel like the one thing I feel the most positive about Wisconsin is how everybody fucking meshed together. It was so nice to see a group of fucking patriots like strong and not being egotistical, not getting fucking butt hurt and shit. You know, like Dan comes in, it's like, all right, well, this is another way to do it. The guys didn't get offended. They're like, no, come on. I agree. I mean, that was nice. I think we bring more of that kind of fucking mentality to this, and we can get, you know, lead by example and get people on the same page, so that they can come, they can train, we can be a lot more effective and deadly if we have like a bunch of different groups all around the state that can come together and.
So like the thing is, too, is like even though if they're not down right now, then
when shit's like on fire, then they'll maybe like, shit, these guys are probably right.
Well, by then it's too late. They're not,
No.
they're not on.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, when you get rain right now,
Yeah.
they're on par with their operation.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to bring to, because no, honestly, man, I'm trying to bring this to here to see if we got to see that. Right. You know, I actually think operating much more professional level than any fuckers in this.
You go up to the second page, the first page. I'm sorry. Mr. Fox talks about how, sorry, bottom of that, you can be a lot more effective and deadly if we have like a bunch of different groups all around. the country, Correct?
Correct.
185, please.
When I did teams, I did up, we had 7 to 8.
I got the word.
We had, of course, we have a lot more intel.
Small, squad guys that have chemistry, okay.
And wherever,
I mean,
whoever we
Say where you
bring
at.
everybody on board.
You do with taking time.
They can what?
I had to be, taking them fall off the face of the earth, but you do it.
Listen, I am.
You on board?
Yeah.
I don't wanna wait for them to come fucking solve us. At that point, it's too fucking late, and then all we're doing is fighting for our lives.
So we need to be very careful on how we do it, because what we do is spark off something, literally something there.
Yeah, now we don't want the wrong way.
We don't want it to go the wrong way.
How else can we put out a positive image that we're not doing this for fucking terrorists, but we're doing?
Give it up.
We got some tyrannical motherfuckers.
Give up the whole image thing, dude. I know what it
You'll always be a villain in somebody's story.
Well, that's the ultimate. That's a fucking game. So, there's a lot of people that think like that.
We find out who's on board.
When you know people that don't like that, we find out what
We
we got.
got with
Terrorists. Okay, we're taking, once the recon comes back, I don't know, maybe 8, 7, 8, 19?
8 at the most.
Maybe the most.
8 at the most.
No more than 8.
If we're gonna do too many,
Well, then you need to
just
figure out
because we're starting to worry about too many guys and boots on ground, and you know what I mean, so.
Who are they referencing here?
They're talking about kidnapping the governor.
Mr. Bellar moves to South Carolina. Is that the last contact he has with the group?
No,
And you talked about how he's starting his own group in South Carolina. Is that right?
that's correct.
Can you take a look at Exhibit 194 and 207, please?
All right, I have 194 and 207.
What's 194, please?
194 is Facebook search warrant, business results, business records from Paul Bellar.
207?
It's the same. It's Facebook business records from Paul Bellar. Those are from October.
Thank you. Move for their admission, Judge.
Objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor.
94 and 207 are
Thank you. If you could display 194. You can see on the bottom left. What are we seeing here in late August?
So August 22nd, Paul Bellar sent a message to Ty Garbin. These are direct messages and stated, I just started a group down here called the Palmetto State Redacted Goons. Hopefully I don't end up on another list with this one. I'm really sorry for what happened recently, just hoping it didn't piss any of you guys off.
Okay, we'll talk about what happened recently in a moment. Exhibit 207. What are we looking at here?
Paul Bellar sends a picture of his go bag in South Carolina.
And what's of note here?
He's got zip ties, electrical tape, and rope.
You can take that down. All right. So, Mr. Bellar made reference to what happened what happened recently, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so we're on event number 21, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's labeled as Panic at the Bonfire on August 18, 2020. Is that at an actual bonfire?
No, this is the code word. So it's panic that occurred amongst the group over the bonfire chat, which is the QRF chat.
Okay, thank you. Can you take a look at exhibit 187?
There.
What is it?
This is screen captures from August 18th of the Panic at the Bonfire.
I'm gonna move for its admission.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
187 is admitted.
So you said that this was like a panic, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Bellar do anything after leaving the state to warn the Wolverine Watchmen to avoid any apprehension, so to speak, for what they were doing?
So there was two significant times that Mr. Bellar helped the group avoid apprehension.
Okay, so this first one, let's talk about 187, if you could put it up. What are we gonna see here? What happens?
So Paul Bellar's roommate, Jacob Snyder, gets a call from Milford Police Department, and they're asking about if they want to recover, come and claim some of the things that were left in the apartment after he was evicted.
Okay.
And Paul Bellar thinks this is suspicious and gets word from Jacob Schneider, and then he contacts the group via wire on the QRF, the bonfire chat. And this is the running dialogue that the group has on August 18th.
Okay, first section, please.
Paul Bellar stated, guys, the cop just questioned my old roommate about me. Apparently, they were asking him about my military pictures and my actions in the Boogaloo movement. Has anyone else had anything strange going on? I see it looks like they got to Gunny too.
Gunny is who?
Ty Garvin.
Thank you. Next section, or well, at the bottom there, sorry.
Paul Bellar stated, that's my point. It was an old army picture. I just forgot about it being there. And then they started asking him about my involvement in the Boogaloo movement.
Next section.
Paul Bellar stated, apparently my neighbor reported to the cops calling my place the Armory from seeing me go in and out with gear from training and shit. Caleb Franks stated, big sketch. Paul Bellar stated, guys, change code words ASAP. And then he did the ping, which is the notification on wire that we talked about. Paul Bellar stated, change your code words ASAP. Apparently, they brought them up to my roommate asking him about the coded texts. You guys may need to have a meeting together soon. I guess they are really, really on my case back in Michigan.
Next section.
Paul Bellar stated, no clue. It was while the was being cleaned out when I was no longer a resident there. All I know is they know a lot of stuff they shouldn't and asked him a lot of weird questions. And then asterisk while the home. So that's while the home was being cleaned out. Gerald, which is Jared Kuchesny from the chats, stated, this is a big problem. Paul Bellar stated, no shit, we've been compromised, it appears. Gerald asked, your roommate spill on you? Paul Bellar replied, nope, he hates cops. Told them the coded shit was for an online clan for a game, me and friends.
Next section.
Paul Bellar stated, they've probably been watching me for a while since my face was plastered on the news along with Joe during Wolverine Watchmen shit. At Caleb Franks, you think we've got a Fed? Caleb Franks stated, I mean, how else would they know about coded language? That's very specific information to have. And we've only discussed that within this group.
Next section.
Paul Bellar stated, I think I'm gonna go ghost for a while and try to get out of their microscope. Paul Bellar stated, "You're good, man. I'm just slightly concerned as fuck right now. Almost wondering if I need to go ghost mode and disappear off social media and everything for a while now." Paul Bellar stated, "I'm almost wondering if my dumbass left behind any paper, but I think I handled them all out." Paul Bellar replied, "No shit, I'm at a loss for words. All I know is y'all may need to get together and change some stuff. This is all fucked, and I'm sorry, guys. I don't know they were seriously on me like this. I'm sorry, I didn't know they were seriously on me like this."
Next section.
Paul Bellar stated, "It was one fucking picture I left behind from me and my fatigues. How was I supposed to know the cops were gonna go into my old house after I moved out? I took everything with me that was actually sensitive shit. I wasn't stupid with my shit." Paul Bellar stated, currently I don't even live in Michigan anymore. So if they are after me, then they're gonna have to reach out to either my new local PD, or if it gets bigger, then they'll get feds on my ass. Wayward, so that's Brandon Caserta, stated, "Your roommate should have said IDK. I don't know what you are talking about. Boogaloo? What's that mean?" Gerald, who's Jared Bouchesney, stated, "Everyone better get your backstory square because I think we need to dig into everybody and confirm without a doubt people's identity." Paul Bellar stated, "Everyone needs to know everyone in the group." Paul Bellar stated, "Labor Day weekend, I'll be back up in Michigan to visit family. If you guys want, I can track down all my shit and prove myself as well."
Does anyone leave the group after this?
Yes,
Who?
Josh Miller, Purple J on the link chart.
Okay, thank you. Exhibit 189, please take a look.
Got a 188 and a 190.
You have a 189.
No, not my binder.
You want to use mine?
Sure, thank you. Yes, I have a 189 here.
What's that?
This is a message that Josh Miller, Purple J, sent to the group at Panic at the Bonfire, letting the group know that he was leaving.
Okay, thank you. Move for submission.
Objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
189 is admitted.
Thank you. Can you put it up? Tell me about this.
Purple J stated, "In light of what happened yesterday and some prior things, I've decided to leave. I don't think I'm as committed as y'all. I'm pretty busy and I have a little differing opinion on some stuff. You're a great group of guys and it was a pleasure getting to know you. I'd still like to remain in contact. Most of you know where to reach me, or if you need anything, at Leroy Jenkins is always able to reach me. If you want proof of my background so you know I'm clean, I can get it to you. I'll just be gone this weekend and nothing against any of you."
Thank you. You can take that now. Does the group do anything as a result of this whole Panic at the Bonfire situation?
Yes, there's 3 significant changes the group makes as a result of Panic at the Bonfire.
What?
Well, first off, on the 23rd of August, they had scheduled a recon at the governor's cabin up north.
Who's they?
Adam Fox and the QRF team. The FAFO team, the FAFO chat members.
All of them? Some of them? What?
Well, they were talking about who's going to be going. So like Mike Murray said he was going to go. Adam Fox said he was going to do it on the 23rd. As soon as Panic at the Bonfire happened, they canceled the recon of the governor's residence and they scheduled a show your papers meeting at Dan Harris's house.
What's that meeting?
That meeting is where all the members of the Bonfire Parties chat had to come forward and they had to provide proof of their employment and proof of where they lived to prove who they were, so they weren't affected.
Did they change communication method at all?
Yes, so they left Wire and they started a FAFO group, Fuck Around Find Out group on Threema. So Threema is another encrypted application. This one's a little bit different because it's not free. You have to pay for it. And then once you purchase the application, it's the same as Wire in the fact that you just create your username and profile, you register with a phone, and then it's end-to-end encrypted.
Okay. So this meeting, this security meeting, does Mr. Morrison go to that?
No,
Does Mr. Musical go to that?
no,
Mr. Beller go to that?
no.
Okay. Does Mr. Morrison, does Mr. Morrison reference that in Exhibit 193?
Yes,
And what is that you're looking at?
this is discussion on the leadership chat from August 22nd, 2020, in which the group is discussing the Show Your Papers meeting.
Okay. And a move for its admission?
No objection.
No objection, no.
And an objection.
193.
You put it up this morning. Set this up, tell me what they're talking about in here.
They're calling out Joe Morrison. Basically, on August 22nd, Joe Morrison had publicly attended a protest and he had came back from being absent for a certain period of time. And as the group was discussing the Panic at the Bonfire and setting up the Show Your Papers meeting, some members of the QRF and the Wolverine Watchmen called him out.
Okay, if you can zoom in on the bottom. Is the highlighted added?
Yes, I added the highlighting and the boxes.
Okay, go ahead.
Joe Morrison stated, "I'm in. Everyone knows that. Sorry, I had shit I had to work on before I came back. I wouldn't have started this group 9 months ago, bust my fucking ass to get good, decent guys in here. Made sure we had a place to train for the last few months till something better came up. And if y'all can push it, I can make it. I busted my ass for this group. And cause if I hadn't had contact with Barry, the whole FTX shit wouldn't have even been on our radar. Shit, I've only been off Wire since last Wednesday. I figured y'all could handle a short absence. I'm sorry, but if you aren't married and have children, you would not understand. I would love to be all in all the time, but I have an obligation to my wife and kids first and foremost. That's my priority."
Take that down. Does Mr. Bellar reach out to his parents after he finds out the police were asking about him?
Yes,
Can you take a look at Exhibit 188?
yes, I have it here.
What is it?
It's Facebook business records with Paul Bellar's contact with his parents.
Move for its admission?
No objection. He only has a father though, correct? He doesn't have parents, just father.
Objection only to Mr. Morrison, Your Honor.
Objection, stand on objection.
188 is admitted.
Thank you. Can you put it up? Bottom left-hand corner. Tell us what we're seeing here.
Paul Bellar, this is 8/18, so August 18th, the day of Panic at the Bonfire. If the cops or any officials come to any of you asking questions about me, just please don't tell them anything. Lizzie Bellar, which I should clarify, I don't know what her relation is to Paul Bellar, replied, "WTF you mean? Why would they? LOL." Paul Bellar responded, "Cops questioned my old roommate about me and some movements I was in, and a lot of other things that were very serious topics and stuff they should not know of." Paul Bellar responded, "So please, for the love of God, don't tell them anything if they come to you guys. Apparently I'm under a microscope."
Just for the record, that's his sister, Your Honor.
Okay.
Next section.
So this is direct messages with Rebecca Bellar, and I don't know her relation. And this is the next day, August 19th. Paul Bellar stated, "They may ask you about my connections with the Boogaloo movement."
Is this another?
That's his other sister, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can take that down. Okay. Mr. Bellar, reach out to Mr. Morrison after this directly.
Yes,
And I want you to take a look at 190.
I have it here.
What is that?
These are direct messages between Paul Bellar and Joe Morrison and their Facebook business records.
Who's for their admission, Judge?
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Standing objection.
190 is admitted.
Put it up, please. 190. Yep, 190. Okay. What are we looking at here?
These are the
Really small. but
these are the Facebook business records, and they don't look like that, and they're flipped for this, Adam.
Can I pull it up outside?
Gonna pull it up another way, Judge. Think there's a program in for
Yep,
objects.
a couple times.
What are we looking at here? Couple different pages of business records.
Yeah, so this is a chat, direct messages between Paul Bellar and Joe Morrison, in which Paul talks about identifying CHS Dan as a source, and then makes a case to Joe as to why he's the source.
And those Facebook profile pictures that we're seeing here, are these of CHS?
Yeah, so those are publicly available screen captures of CHS Dan's personal Facebook page.
Okay, next page. What are we seeing here?
So these are comparison photographs. Paul Bellar's girlfriend down in South Carolina had looked at Dan's Facebook page and noted that she thought he looked similar to a sheriff's deputy down in that area. She thought his page was similar, and so she advised Paul that Dan was probably a Fed.
Next page. Okay, section on the top left, if you could just go through. This is between Mr. Morrison and Mr. Bellar, correct?
Correct. So August 19th, 2020, Joe Morrison stated, Jesus. Paul Bellar stated, I think we've had a mole for a while now. Paul Bellar stated, I've at least been to his home and met his family. Dan, on the other hand, no one even knows his actual address. Paul Bellar stated, and while he's got hella money, hella training, very discreet with his personal life, and a very small, simple, cliche background story. Just want to make sure I see who said that comment on the top. Previous page. Okay, so that's Paul Bellar, who starts it and says he's been very quiet in our QRF chat about it too. He's trying to push the blame away from it being a mole. Paul Bellar stated, I'm starting to believe it more and more. Joe Morrison stated, who brought in Franks and is he in the QRF? So Paul Bellar stated, Franks, me and Beaker met in person at a BLM protest in Lake Orion. We brought him in, but he's trusted. We've met his family, been to his house and his family's house. He's bringing his mugshot and court shit to prove his background at the meeting.
The security meeting that was referenced?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Paul Bellar stated, Dan took forever to reply stating he'll be there and that he'll have pay stubs for last year to prove himself. Paul Bellar stated, this whole thing is fucked up, man. Joe Morrison stated, what meeting, and thought you were in South Carolina. I'm sorry, SC. Paul Bellar stated, I am. I'm still in the chat though, in case of emergencies back home in Michigan.
Next page. Oh, sorry.
Paul Bellar stated, they've got a meeting they're doing for the QRF team to make everyone dump everything out on their personal lives and shit to prove no one is a mole. Joe Morrison stated, gotcha. Let me know when and where.
Does Mr. Morrison share that information with Mr. Musico?
Yes,
Does Mr. Musico do anything with that information?
yes, he reaches out to Adam Fox and advises Adam Fox.
Okay, exhibit 8, please, page 7.
What exhibit number was it?
Exhibit 8, Judge,
Okay.
and it's already admitted. While we're pulling this up, could you take a look at exhibit 10, the one that's already been admitted, the fixed timeline, and just pull that out of it and see? Okay, what are we seeing here?
So this is just continuing direct messages between Pete Musico and Adam Fox.
On August 20th, on the left side, does Mr. Musico send a voice clip to Mr. Fox?
Yeah, so this is the voice message over Facebook direct messenger where you speak into the phone.
Okay, so this is August 20th, same day that Mr. Morrison and Mr. Bella are talking about Dan being a mole, correct?
Correct,
Okay, and so there's 2 voice clips, right?
correct.
Okay, and what's this in between there? You say something about alphabet soup. What's alphabet soup?
So alphabet soup is code word for federal agencies, the FBI, the ATF, the CIA. We're just all a bunch of alphabet soup.
Okay, thank you. And I want you to take a look at exhibit number 10 without taking this off the screen. But exhibit number 10, the context timeline. Is there a video chat between Mr. Fox and Mr. Musico that lasts around 17 minutes?
Yes, so Mr. Musico and Mr. Fox on August 20th they had 2 separate video chats, but they totaled 17 minutes.
Thank you. I want you to look at exhibits 191 and 192. You can keep that up there, please.
All right, I have them here.
Are these the 2 voice clips that Mr. Musico sends to Mr. Fox on this day?
Yes,
Thank you. Move for their admission, Judge.
No objection.
No objection, no.
No objection.
191, 192 are admitted.
And take this down, and if you can play 191 that's transferred, and then 192.
Well, for me, it's been hectic as hell. I've been working on my ministry. I've had to make a trip to Alabama the last week. You know, I rode ups fucking on the way down there, which was funny as all get up. If I didn't have my granddaughter, I would have stopped. But anyway, I'm working on my ministry. I'm doing a lot of other stuff, man. But I'm still in the game. Don't think I'm not. I'm just sitting back watching and observing things right this moment, man. There's a couple feds I got my eyes on, and I ain't gonna release their names to anybody until I got hard back. But I got my eyes on a couple guys right now.
192.
Yeah, I'm working on nailing down a couple infiltrators right now.
Okay, so this is August 20th, that same day. Does Mr. Fox then turn around and talk to Dan about how Mr. Musico alerted him to infiltrators?
yes,
Okay, is that in exhibit number 236?
yes,
Fair and accurate?
yes.
Move for its admission, Judge.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection.
236 is admitted.
Thank you. Please play 236.
So, how long do you keep in contact with Grandpa?
I just Facebook Messenger. He always sends me like every day, like a different passages out of the Bible.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I got to move on yesterday and we video chat for a little bit. He was talking about how he was used to be Freemason, now he's not background checks and shit.
Right.
And he said something about like there was fucking possible infiltrators in your guys' organization or even online or something.
That's what we're kind of thinking.
Okay. After this, does Mr. Fox reach out directly to Mr. Morrison?
Yes,
Okay, can you put up exhibit 6, pages 5 and 6? On the right side, could you, oh, I'm sorry, page, yeah, 5 and the right side, if you could zoom that. Same day still?
Yes, so August 20th.
Okay, and what happens?
Adam Fox asked, these are direct messages between Joe Morrison and Adam Fox. You got wire still? You and I need to start keeping in touch better, bro. Need you. Joe Morrison replied, yeah, just uninstalled it for a week to work on my marriage. Adam Fox stated, get your head in the game, brother. It's go time. I need you. Joe Morrison replied, I'm still here. Don't worry. LOL. Adam Fox stated, need start networking across the continent. Might do road trip. I got mad shit in the works and need your guidance and assistance, bro.
Next section, next page.
Fox stated, FTX is just the beginning of our building process. Meanwhile, I got lots of notes and ideas. Joe Morrison replied, I have contacts all over. Let me know where you plan to go.
Next section.
Adam Fox stated, this is from August 20th, just start rallying the troops, bro. The details will work themselves out. No matter what, we will have proper representation there. Joe Morrison replied, I'll talk to Jada and the boys. Don't think because I've been quiet means I ain't working. The best work is done in silence. Adam Fox stated, copy that. We need to sit down, have dinner, and fill each other in.
Video is it the same day? You're good. At this point on the significant event timeline, we are on exhibit number, right after, well, there's a date here, it's exhibit 22, or, sorry, significant event 22, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's titled Bellar Warning, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Judge, I'm gonna move into my last section here. It might be a good time for
Oh.
lunch break.
Yeah, I was,
You were
thought
thinking
you
it,
were,
weren't you?
no, I was thinking it, but I was thinking you were getting ready to admit an exhibit. I was gonna allow you to admit it. and
Oh,
there you
thank
go.
you, Judge.
We'll set everybody back, because the hour and 15 minutes workout, guys. Rushed.